You wouldn't be wrong if you think that this reminds you of something. Hey guys, ITEAD guys has released a new Wi-Fi switch and it's called SwitchMan. SwitchMan! And as you probably guessed it, this is a wall switch to operate your main lights in a room or outside. It's not, however, the first time ITEAD guys have one of these on offer. Previously they had glass touch panels that you could use exactly in the same way over the Wi-Fi. So why the refresh? Well, you probably want to check back this video about NSPanel to realize why they're aiming for the redesign. Especially that the 80 series of these switches comes with a really nice panel that allows you to stack multiple switches next to NSPanel. The design isn't the only thing that those two devices have in common, but I'm going to talk about it in a moment. It's a Wi-Fi operated switch. It works over 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi band and it pairs via Bluetooth, which indicates that we're gonna find probably ESP32 inside, something we're gonna explore in a moment as well. Now these are available in the configurations of 1, 2 and 3 gangs, and as I already mentioned, that are 80 series, which is 70mm wide, and 86 series, which are completely square. All of them are, however, made for everyone that has live and neutral in their wall sockets. So yeah, that's not me, because in UK that's not the usual way of connecting things. I'm not that fortunate. This time around Sonoff went with tactile switches. They are normal push buttons and they do feel tiny little bit plasticky, but they have a decent springiness into them. One of the things I've noticed is that you will have to press the button in the bottom section of the switch to actuate it, as if you do this, unfortunately it's not going to actuate until you cross the mid-section of the switch itself. Fortunately for anyone that's going to use them at night, there are two LED in here that will let you know where the switch is located in night, so if you don't want to use a voice command or anything similar, you'll be able to find them quickly. Just like NSPanel, they are made to be modular, which means you can unclip the front panel very quickly and use the back panel to fit inside your wall. If you're wondering, the back panel is 49mm by 49mm. Now looking at the terminals, obviously we're gonna expect to see line in or live in and neutral in. Unfortunately there is only one neutral, so if you have up to 3 gangs to serve, you'll have to use probably Wago connectors or something similar. I wish Sonoff included individual neutrals just like they did for Mini R2 series. Both parts are connected with 8-pin connector, pretty much the same one they've used on NSPanel, and something tells me we're gonna find even more similarities once we're gonna look inside the back panel. So before we pair it, let's dive inside and see what's what. The front PCB is super easy to access thanks to 2 screws. By the way, you should really check out this screwdriver review. Something you're gonna love it. It's probably overpowered for this switch in particular, but it's super cool. Anyway, back to the PCB. On the PCB, as expected, we're going to see ESP D0WD series microcontroller, which operates the chip and connects to 2.4 GHz network and allows for Bluetooth pairing. Next to it, there is a conveniently exposed header exposing GPIO 00 for flashing, RxTX, and 3.3 volts and ground. There are a couple of other pads here and there, and nicely labeled connectors, so you know what's what. Flipping the board on the other side, we'll see the switches itself, and something tells me that the same PCB is being used for all of the panels, as you can see that not all of the switch or push button sections are populated. What's even more interesting is the fact that the top of the PCB have also spaces for the push buttons at the top, indicating that either rocker version of these will be available, or we might see a panel with 6 buttons. Taking the back module apart reveals that they used exactly the same design for NSPanels, including silk screen. Now, since we're talking about relays included, it's worth of mentioning that for these relays, you will be able to pass 10 amps if you have a single gang, 5 amps each per channel if you have a 2 or dual gang like mine, and it's limited to 6 amps in total or 2 amps per channel if you have triple gang configuration. So don't exceed those and stay safe. Enough of poking around. I have a dedicated test motor video coming up soon, so it's going to be linked in there, but now let's test it with eWeLink app. I'm really pleased they're using Bluetooth pairing because it works flawlessly and it's not let me down so far, and there's no difference with this switch. Pairing takes a couple of seconds and you're able to use it. The card for the device comes with 2 channels exposed, so you can switch them without going into the device card itself, but once you get into the device you'll see all the usual eWeLink options including timers, schedules, etc. Additionally, there are 2 shortcuts that you can enable or disable for toggling both of the channels on and off, if that's your preference, and if you go to options you'll discover additional settings for interlock and default power state for each channel. Very handy, especially that you can set it on, off or last state. Apart from eWeLink Cloud, you can use it in a LAN only mode, which means if you don't have an access to the internet, it will perform just as good, if it's not quicker. Now what's really disappointing is the fact that the Sonoff DIY isn't present. I had my hopes really high after reviewing Sonoff SPM module in this video, which also came with Sonoff DIY, hoping that Sonoff DIY will be supported on more units. If you don't know what Sonoff DIY is, I have a dedicated video here, but in short it's a mode that in theory wouldn't force you to flash the motor to take full ownership of your device. In operation, whether using a cloud or using LAN controls, it works very quick. The app updates almost instantly when the buttons are actuated, and the similar experiences over voice commands with Alexa. Turn SwitchMan 1 off. Turn SwitchMan 1 on. And speaking of voice controls, one thing to note: when you add this device via relevant skills, it will appear as 3 devices. You'll have a device which is going to allow you to turn it on and off for both channels at the same time, and individual channels separately, so make sure you rename the channels accordingly. These are priced anywhere between $17 and $23 on ITEAD store, which is, I think, quite reasonable. Obviously it's going to be down to your electrical installation and support for it, but if you consider these, then in the description of this video you're going to find the links for these units. So thanks to ITEAD for sending me this so I could take a look early and share my impressions with you. I'm off to flash this, so if you're curious how that's going to turn up, well, I do not have a posting schedule, so you know how YouTube works and how to get all that notifications, but if you want to get in touch and share your ideas, social media is the best because YouTube likes to filter out the comments and it doesn't let me see them either. So yeah, that's a pickle. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.